So, while it's not too late, I appeal to the peoples of Europe. Wake up! You are not being ruled merely by political madmen. They are charlatans and fraudsters. They have robbed you. You are being governed by a gang of utterly godless thieves who have stolen billions from the pockets of European taxpayers without accountability and continue to do so.
While Ukraine is actively fighting corruption, unlike Russia, Moscow is cheering on every scandal and now suspects even EU leaders of being bought off. And although Russian propagandists keep insisting that sanctions don't work, in the same breath they are calling to rebuild the economy for a long war with Europe. New week, new nonsense from Russia. I'm Sofia and this is Spin Snipers, where we turn Kremlin drama into bite-sized reality checks. For a full week now, Ukraine's latest corruption scandal has dominated front pages across the country. And yes, it's been covered in the West too. But no one has been pushing this story harder than Russian propagandists. The Kremlin is watching Kyiv's anti-corruption investigations with pure delight, convinced that any moment now an angry Ukrainian public will rise up, topple the government and give Moscow the perfect chance to swoop in and go further, as they like to say.
Now I want to address the unfortunate Ukrainians again. You can see that this corpse stinks. What's the point of dying for it? Lay down your arms and save your lives. That's it. The end of this creature that existed all these years. Save your lives.
Look, February 24th, 2022. Please leave the territories of the Donetsk People's Republic and Luhansk People's Republic, and nothing will happen. Istanbul talks. Please leave these territories and allow passage through Zaporizhia and Kherson. Later, Zaporizhia and Kherson, everything. According to the Constitution, this is ours. But please, withdraw your troops beyond the borders of the Russian Federation.
By the way, those Russian TV talking heads don't even bother hiding their desire to go further and grab as much as land as possible. It's a nice little reality check for everyone still thinking that Ukraine is the one being difficult, refusing compromises or not ready for negotiations. Russia is always ready to make a deal, break the deal, and then launch a new attack to seize even more territory. Classic Russian playbook. We've seen this movie before.
We will take all of left bank Ukraine.
Why only that?
Well, for now, as the first stage.
What? And Odessa? Is that it? Already done?
Is Odessa part of left bank or right bank Ukraine? Right? Then we will take the left bank as well. Odessa is not up for discussion. It's already home. I keep mixing up left, right, but what does it matter? Both banks will be ours. I just think there will be certain stages.
Let's go back to the corruption case everyone's talking about. Ukraine's National Anti-Corruption Bureau and the Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office uncovered a criminal network involving current and former energy officials, a well-known businessman and several others. They built a large-scale corruption scheme to influence strategic state enterprises, including Energoatom, to extract illegal profits and launder money. And honestly, in Ukraine, people are mostly relieved. Our anti-corruption institutions are doing exactly what they should, investigating top-level corruption instead of pretending it doesn't exist. Something you simply don't see in Russia. I mean, what kind of anti-corruption bodies does Russia even have? Hard to imagine what their work would look like. Meanwhile, in Moscow, the storyline is predictable. Zelensky has already fled, Ukraine is collapsing, and apparently the entire West is corrupt too.
You know, he's scared to even be in Ukraine.
He's scared of everything. He's a coward at heart, that's the truth.
He went off traveling to all sorts of countries, sure, but then he shows up in France, and notice, at the same time, boom, an investigation kicks off there. At the office of a major firm, they start asking whether there were any financial irregularities during Macron's election. Why should Sarkozy be the only one who ends up in jail?
The fight now is against the globalists, you know.
I wonder when they'll start investigating Kaja Kallas and put her away for the financial schemes of her husband's family.
I don't think they'll release all the recordings. The whole Western political system would collapse. They all laundered money.
And here comes the best part: Russia accusing European leaders of corruption. Fact check. There is zero evidence that Macron, Stubb, or any of usual villains on Russian TV have taken bribes from Ukraine or from anywhere else for that matter. Meanwhile, the very same country making these claims is famous for financing political parties, extremist movements, and lobbyists all across Europe. So yes, accusing Europe of being corrupt while doing exactly the same thing is classic Russia. Projection at Olympic level. And now let's hear how Russian TV explains it.
And then you have Stubbs, a nobody who came out of nowhere, a loser in basketball, suddenly commenting on Trump's statements. Who authorized him to do that? He's talking about Anchorage. Was he present at that private conversation? What is he even talking about? Macron, puffing and huffing about something. Well, unlike Stubbs, who didn't have time to directly get much money from Ukraine, Macron did. That's why all these statements from this pseudo-European political science scum, from Pistorius to Stubbs, who are calling for war. They're suffering from a supreme form of historical amnesia.
But here's the kicker: while Russian TV is yelling at EU citizens, "Look, you've been robbed," maybe they should try telling their own people that. Corruption? Not in Europe. Kremlin runs the main show. Let's do a quick reality check on Vladimir Putin. He's been running the show for over 23 years, building what looks like an entire oligarchic clan around himself. Under his watch, Russia has become a money laundering paradise for friends and allies. Remember that $1.3 billion palace near Gelendzhik? Yeah, apparently state-connected companies helped foot the bill. Key states' assets and contracts usually end up in hands of Putin's inner circle, not the most qualified people, just the most loyal ones. So next time Russian TV lectures Europe about corruption, just smile and remember, the only place where corruption is truly systematic is home sweet Kremlin.
And when Pistorius says that the war will start next year, a war can start at any moment. And we won't be the ones to start it. But we will respond. And our response will be terrifying. And nothing like what the European dwarfs are planning. So, before it's too late, I appeal to the peoples of Europe. Wake up. You are not being ruled by mere political madmen. They are charlatans and fraudsters. They have robbed you. You are governed by a gang of completely godless thieves who have stolen billions from the pockets of European taxpayers without any accountability. And they keep doing it.
Meanwhile, in Russia, the usual narrative is going: sanctions don't work. Fact check. Urals crude just hit its lowest price since March 2023, according to Bloomberg. The Russian economy is under real pressure. Inflation, capital flight, and shrinking export market are not exactly proof sanctions don't work. But of course, Russian TV never admits any of that. Instead, the narrative is: we need a whole new economic system. Right. Because nothing says system is fine like crashing oil prices and decade-long economic stagnation. So sanctions don't work, but they still need to rebuild the entire economy from scratch. Makes perfect sense.
Russia needs a new economic system, a different one. The system we have now is close to exhausting its resources. That's my personal view. It is essentially based on the liberal market approaches of the 1990s, early 2000s, and it is reaching the end of its capacity in a far more complex environment, with external challenges, internal pressures, and everything else. A new combination of direct state participation in the economy, state planning, and market initiative must be shaped into a new model. Because we can see that the model from the 1990s, well, it may have served a certain purpose back then. It filled the market with goods. Today, it even allows us to maintain stability despite sanctions. That's true, and there is some credit due. But simply maintaining stability is no longer enough. We need development, especially since things will only get harder from here, not easier.
So why does Russia need a new economy? What's all this for? Previously, Moscow had money from oil and gas sales, while someone was still buying it. And yet, instead of investing in improving the lives of its citizens, which it could have done, it spent it all on the war against Ukraine. The new economy? According to Russian TV, it's so Russia can be ready for war with Europe. Apparently, in Ukraine, they never target civilians, their words, not reality. But in Europe, suddenly it's going to be a glorious, merciless war where Europeans will supposedly slaughter Russians without hesitation. Yes, that's the narrative. Western enemies will show no mercy. Here is the reality check. Europe has no plans to attack Russia. The constant provocations and hybrid warfare, that's Russia doing it. And speaking of civilians in Ukraine, on the night of November 19th, Russian attacks killed 26 civilians, including 3 children, striking the city with drones and missiles. Targets, according to the Russian army, military ones, of course. Even the residential building in Ternopil that was hit was full of civilians. The attack left 73 more people injured, including 15 children.
It's also important not to deceive ourselves here. Yes, the special military operation has shown very serious changes on the battlefield. The use of various weapons, a lot of new specifics. But we must understand that if there is a war with the West, it will not look like this. The specifics of the special military operation are defined by political decisions made by our leadership. Don't touch this, don't touch civilians, don't touch political leaders, exclude nuclear weapons, and so on. If our opponents actually decide to go to war, they will not restrain themselves with such limitations. If they are able to carry out a nuclear strike, they will. If they can eliminate the political leadership, they will do it immediately. Bridges, infrastructure, they won't care how many civilians die.
And just so you understand, apparently the whole world has turned against Russia, which of course is completely innocent. Russian propagandists even somehow managed to line up communism and Christianity in the same sentence. You know, the same communists who banned churches. Classic Kremlin logic: rewrite history, mix ideology and blame everyone else.
Absolute evil takes different forms, including pure Nazism. But now, the chosen victims are not the Jews, but the Russians. Or, more precisely, the former Soviets, a broader category whose roots, of course, lie in the Russian people. And what they fear in them is precisely this spirit of orthodoxy, the spirit that shaped our civilization, a spirit that even the Soviet past couldn't erase. It only tried to modify it, leaving its traces in classical Russian literature, in the inner moral sense, and later even rewriting it into things like the Communist Builder's Code and many other ideas that echoed Christian values.
That's it for today. While the Russian propaganda machine keeps running, we'll keep exposing their lies. I'm Sofia, and this was Spin Snipers. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and don't fall for the spin.